Hit okay.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Brave Enough to Fail series, where we interview amazing people, amazing stories to inspire students in the Boss Academy and the Brave Enough to Fail program. And I'm just so honored to be able to bring some of my closest friends, people that I admire, that I have grown up with, or people that I've succeeded with in life that have amazing stories. And so today we have Ron Hilton. Ron and I have known each other since we were 5 years old. We've basically grown up as brothers. Our parents are best friends. And I'm super excited to bring you here today with him because his journey and all the things that he's done will surely inspire you to really find and follow your dreams and continue to push through no matter what. So, Ron, welcome and thank you for joining us today, man.
Well, thank you for having me on, man. I love interviews. I love giving value and sharing my story however I can help.
Awesome, man. Awesome. Well, let's get right into it. You know, these students are going to be listening to you and all your great nuggets of life. And so let's start off by, who are you, Ron, and what's your story, man?
Yeah, so I'm Ron Hilton, from New London, Connecticut, and grew up there with Mr. H here and his brothers. So we had a really good life growing up. But I can honestly say one of the things I had a hard time with as a child was education and learning. I really did struggle. I struggled in reading. I struggled in writing. It was to the point where my second grade teacher thought I was mentally challenged and actually referred me to a special was trying to refer me to a special school, but my mama was like, she was trying to have that, and but I've been through a lot of steps in my life where I struggled with education and learning. Um, but the biggest thing was is that I had great support from my parents, and I just, I guess I just had this innate ability to push through, right? To understand and push through. Another thing that helped me stay focused on that path was martial arts, starting at a young age. Getting involved in something that made me feel a little more safe, a little more smarter, a little bit more like something I know I could get good at. At that young, being a kid, and and just able to help others as I'm growing on. And I was able to push through elementary school, middle school, high school. And I said my, and then my, I said my biggest, I would say my biggest change in my learning and my education is when I went to college, and that really helped. That was a really turning period. But the biggest thing was I just kept pushing forward.
That's awesome, Ron. And I think we all go through things in life, and some of us are able to harness those challenges with good support and mentorship, and figuring out like how do I leverage some of these challenges, and then being able to look back at it and say, "Wow, I'm so glad that I pushed through because I had so much more in me. I just needed to believe." And so let's talk about that for a moment. You know, you've done a lot, right? We talked. You talked a little bit about martial arts. Let's get into that. So, what was it about martial arts? You did say that it felt like you could achieve, you could, find yourself within that. What led you to stay with it? Because martial arts isn't easy.
You know what? I just that I don't know how to explain it, but it's like when you learn how to love something at a young age, it doesn't. I'm not saying it was easy, but it just felt natural. Like, my first instructor was Greg Curtis, and his classes were freaking hard, man. Like, he trained us like, here I am at the time, like 19 years old. He's training us like grown-ups. All the push-ups, all the sit-ups and the knuckle push-ups and the running and like and the piggyback. Like, I mean, there was just so many crazy things he had us doing at that age. I mean, kids nowadays, they would just be, I don't know.
They probably complain just as much, if not
Just
more.
like this much. But as I got older, I just got good at it. I just got really good at it over time. And just to make a long story short on that, I ended up I still have 40 years into martial arts. I have two black belts in karate, a brown belt in
Wow.
judo. Currently training jujitsu. I have my blue belt in jujitsu, which is a jujitsu ranking is a little different than traditional karate. So blue belt's actually like it's kind of a big deal as far as where the ranking is. It's like, but anyway, it's like I've been doing it for so long that I've acquired different systems and styles because I just had this love and passion for it because I understood how to learn. I just caught on quick, after years of doing it, I caught on, got good at it, and was able to and you know and I love showing and teaching too. So it got to a point where I was able to instruct, teach younger kids, teach your other adults, and I still love doing that too.
That's awesome. And discipline, right? I mean, a big part of martial arts is self-discipline. Let's talk a little bit about that. How has that helped you later in life?
Oh man, listen. So I think it's helped me stay focused with like what comes out of my mouth. Helps me stay focused and I was listening to Denzel Washington about this morning about controlling your anger, like not lashing out, like not being
Mm,
able to read the room and understand it. And I think a lot of youths that are dealing with things going in their life, they have that buildup. They don't know how to channel that. With martial arts, it taught me that discipline to be able to listen to what's going on. Even if I feel that anger going on in me, I could just control it to a point where and say, okay, what is this going to achieve if I try to match anger with anger?
mm,
You know, nothing. It's just going to be a lot of yelling and screaming. So it's kind of weird, Aaron. Like it's taught me the discipline to calm that down, so I could be angry in a conversation, but have this and still keep this tone and just keep that discipline, that mind focus, and just be able to have some control over the conversation, so we can come to a common ground. But I and that translated to when I started working with the Connecticut Department of Corrections. You know, I was able to control like any behaviors that I had because of martial arts. Without reacting. A lot of people think martial arts and I think it's all like just kicking, punching, and getting a hold of somebody. But it's more than that. It's up here, right? Martial arts starts up in the mind, right? So it's you do this so you don't have to do this. You
mm.
know, you do this, you do this. It teaches you how to do this, so you don't have to do this. If it comes down to this, but it doesn't have to come to that.
Wow. And that's awesome because I think if you have more self-control in that area, life will, I wouldn't say be easier. I think it will just be clearer and you'll be able to troubleshoot better because you're not letting your emotions be a reaction. You'll be able to think and savvy your way through what the best decision would be. So that's awesome. And I want to talk a little bit about your corrections, right? Because you recently retired and you got in early. And so what led you to go into corrections? Because that's a real deal job, man, when you're in there and you're helping people through their journey.
Yeah, so I guess it's kind of a funny story. As you may know, I went to Grasso Tech, was a Votech school.
Mm.
Sometimes I wish I had was able to go to like flip back and forth between like going back to New London High School. I did wish that because I felt like I was missing out in my hometown, but I loved Grasso Tech. And the trade I took was metal trades technology. So that taught you welding, sheet metal fabrication, blueprint reading, and I really enjoyed that. And my instructor at the time was a civil engineer, and I really looked up to him, Mr. Costa. I really looked up to him, really good dude. So I told myself when I go to college, I want to be a civil engineer, and I really stuck to that. Only thing was I didn't have the math skills, right?
Mm.
But you know what? At 19 years old, going into college, I was like, you know what? I'll just figure it out. It don't work that way.
That's
It don't
awesome.
work that way. Either you know, or you don't know, right? So
Right.
my first year and a half in college, I really struggled. Um, and then I went to the syllabus. They have like a book with all the classes in it. Back then, It was a paper
Yep.
book,
Yep.
right? And then I just started reading through, and I was like, oh wow, criminal justice looks good. And one of the requirements and one of the things that they didn't require in criminal justice at the time was you didn't have to take a math class. So I stuck with that. I stuck with criminal justice as my major. And my last semester, I was like, oh wow, you know what? I really enjoy this. I really enjoy what I'm learning. Um, I was like, well, I'm either going to be a cop or going to corrections. And at the time, back in the '90s, corrections was just hiring, man. You can trip and fall and be a corrections officer back then. It was just crazy, dude. And my last semester, I remember this so clearly. We were in one of the classes, and the teacher was going around and said, "Hey, what do you want to do with this degree when you graduate?" And I said, "I want to be in. I think I want to go into corrections." So one of my classmates, her name was Heidi, she came up to me with this thing called a URL. I was like, "What's a URL?" You know? She said, "Oh," and she had it on a piece of paper, right? She said, "You have to take this. This is how you apply for corrections, and you go to the library, have the librarian help you log in." I was like, "Log in? What are you talking about?" Right? This is like '97. So that's my story about how I got into corrections, and then got in at 23 and retired at 43, and that was in 2018. So I had a really good career. I had couple positions, and made some good money, and was able to support until even to this day. I got a pension and benefits for my family.
Wow. And those are some amazing benefits. I mean, it is quite the career, but it's not easy. You know,
Oh, it was easy.
you've shared with me some of the things that you had to push through and had to use some of those discipline skills to push through and to make it through some of the days. So I would love for you to share some of the biggest obstacles that you had to deal with throughout that career to stick with it so that you could obviously get the pot of gold at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah. So to your point, corrections was not easy, and in my younger years, um, I would I would have days like so you see. It really did challenge me. I'm not gonna lie, it was challenging. Like I had days where I would come home and I would sit out my car for 5, 10 minutes before I walked into the house. Because I was so like I had all that coming at me, right? And um, I had my life threatened, multiple times. I've seen people bleed out. I've seen so much, like things that a normal person go into the office they don't see or deal with, and I can tell you, Aaron, when somebody says they hate their job or they had a bad day at work, I just kind of look at them and shake my head. I'm like, you don't know what a hate your job and what a bad day at work is. Like you really don't know. And I don't like I shouldn't play the comparison game, but it's like whatever's going on, you get through it. Like I have a friend of mine. You know he was a manager. He's a grocer. He's a manager at a grocery store. He was like he was struggling with work. I'm like, what is it you struggling with, bro? Like you don't like you don't know, right? But I would say, 10 years, my first 10 years was kind of like that, was kind of that, what, like I guess, like, well, less, like that learning period, that period of like, I gotta learn more about me. I gotta grow me if I'm going to stick with this, and then, there were times I wanted to leave year 5 and 7. I was like, I got to get out of here. I was
Mm.
even on the phone with human resources, like what I got to do to leave. And then when I hit year 10, I just had an epiphany like, you know what? I got this. I got this. I'm halfway. I got this, And then I just started working on myself. The first thing I ended up doing was I got invested in a Tony Robbins program and just started working on personal development. Just started working on me, and then I just kind of just went down that road and everything every day now. I'm walking in the jail. How you doing? Smiling. Stay awesome. Have a great day. No, there was officers that was hating on me because I was always happy. So, which I still is there to understand. They just, they'd be like, try to ignore me, like legit try to ignore me because they didn't want to talk to me. I'm like, hello, how you doing today? You
Wow.
know? So, but
Wow.
yeah, I got through that, man. And I can honestly say I had a good career. I had a really good career. I didn't love my job, but I enjoyed the work. I liked what I did. And it's still paying off as of right now. I've been retired since 2018, and it's still paying me, still paying off, and I'm able to do the things I want to do, like focus on entrepreneurship and you know be part of a sports massage, be a sports massage therapist. Went back to school for that, and travel around the world with a professional female women's basketball team. Just do some great stuff, and was able to launch my own clothing line, and I was doing some amazing things, man. Just still, just pushing through it.
Yeah. And I love that because we're going to get into all those things, man, because it's important to find yourself. But you hit the nail on the head. You worked on you. And I'm a firm believer of that. I've had my own journey and have had wall kicking moments. And it's those moments that we call character building moments, those moments where we got to learn how to deal with life. And no one can do it but you. They can suggest, they can recommend, but at the end of the day, we ultimately have to make the decision what's best for us. And you nailed it. You said, you know what? There came a point where you were ready to give up, but something kept you driving towards finishing because, again, that discipline, that structure that you had earlier on, getting involved in a sport or martial arts or something that held you accountable, and you knew that you were responsible for you. And I think that, if anything, was a great foundation going into corrections because all the things that you're doing in that role are because others had made bad decisions, right? So you're helping people fix some bad decisions or maybe just help them cope with some of their bad decisions. And obviously that rubs off on you. And so that can be very toxic. But I like how you said, okay, I needed to work on me to work through that. And then you saw, wow, this will really pay off because there is a career path, right? But then you said to yourself, well, there's other things that I want to do. And
Yeah.
so, where did you go off into entrepreneurship and what led you there?
I always was curious about, like, I guess now they call it a side hustle. I mean, 20 years ago, that really wasn't a word for it, but I always had this curiosity about business or doing things like that, and network marketing. I've always I think I've been in like 10 network marketing companies at one point, just starting very young, and then saw that there was a way that you can invest yourself. And with network marketing, it was always like you had these meetings where people were always like motivating you and encouraging you, and giving you information that you didn't have to pay for. It was just like, and um so that was kind of my first introduction to like entrepreneurship and doing stuff like that. And then and then there was one point where me and my wife were with a company, and in our mid 20s, and we were actually making money. I was like, oh my God, this is really happening. Like
Yep.
this is real, man. We
Yeah.
invested $275 and we made $1,000 back. Like, is this real? Like, so and then life happened. We weren't doing that company anymore. And went to school and stuff like that. But to get to your point, I just saw that I just knew I wanted to make some additional stream of income, and now we're calling it again the term pillow money, a way that you can make money while you're sleeping. That's a thing that I'm really into right now. I really want to do that, and I think I also believe in upfront money too. Like if you can find a way to make really good upfront money, which I'm doing now, um it can help with like some of your side hustle stuff that you're doing that's maybe not profitable right now, but will be at some point. So
Yeah, no, I love that. And I think that that really brings out the best in us when we're really challenging ourselves to follow our dreams and to follow our desires and to learn how to do new things. And understanding, obviously, that you got to leave a legacy. You got a family, you got a wife, you have children. It's not about you anymore, right? You start to say, well, I need to be able to leave something behind. So what can I do? Which I love, what you've been doing, man. I mean, you've got your own apparel company. We'll talk a little bit about that. You're a massage therapist for a professional basketball team. We'll talk about that. And you do videos every day, man. You're on social media encouraging people. And, I just love that you live life to the fullest every day. And, over time, there's a pattern here, right? You've continued to grow
And
and
I
do,
jumped out of an airplane.
and you jumped out of an airplane. And we're going to talk
Seriously.
about that too. So yeah, so let's go back and let's talk about massage therapy, right? So you finished corrections, or did you go to school for physical therapy during your time doing corrections on
So
how
yeah,
to
so I went
connection
back. I
strategy?
went to school. So I always had this love for wanting to help people, and I always loved fitness. My fitness journey started with martial arts. Started out as a personal trainer, and I enjoyed that. I really loved that. I was doing that on a part time basis, and um, there was this main one of the roads I always drive by had a massage school. And I would drive by all the time, and I started reading about it, and I heard about this thing called sports massage. I was like, what is that? Because a lot of people think massage, they think spa work and stuff like that. So one day I was just like, you know what? I'm tired of driving by. I'm gonna drive in. You know, turn
Love
my
it.
wheel in, and found out when the open house was. Came back, did the open house, and found out they had a sports massage program, and I was highly interested. I looked at the syllabus and what they had. It was intense. I was a little concerned with the science because again, I questioned myself with with my learning. I never told myself I had a learning disability, and I will never own that. Um, but I questioned myself about that. But I was like, you know what? I was 30 years old at the time, and I said, I'm going for it. And I signed up for it and I went to work 2 years. Now, mind you, had three kids, just had a baby, just had my third child, working full time in corrections. I was working part time at a gym in the evening, and going to school part time. And I did that for 2 years. I was grinding for 2 years. And I did it. I did. I failed one class, and it was kinesiology, and I made it up. I passed with a C plus, but every other class I passed with at least a B minus.
Wow.
And I was and I once I got my license, I hit the ground running, man. I didn't stop, dude. I just kept going for continuing education. I wanted to get good with more sports medicine, sports therapy type work. Massage license. Um, you can do a lot with it. There's definitely you can do a lot with it, and you can expand your scope of practice with certain certifications that are in that scope. So and that's what I did, and I've been doing that for 15 years now. So
Wow. I mean, wow, dude. Like, just I've known you forever, and just hearing you share, these pivotal moments where you've taken the fork in the road and said, "I'm going to go do this," and no matter what, I can hear that brave enough to fail. I can hear that I'm doing this. I want this, and no matter what, you can't stop me doing this. And that's paid huge dividends, right? I mean, you've done personal training, you're kettlebell specialist, like you've worked with a lot of people, helping them, but then you also see it from a therapeutic standpoint too, where you can help them recover from injuries, things like that. And then, let's fast forward. You've had some dream come true opportunities working with Olympians, things like that. So let's talk about that. Like, where has this push to go through physical therapy, go through the education, go through that grind to now lead to working with Olympic athletes, man?
yeah, man. It's so crazy, dude. Like I feel like when you're good to people and you put good vibes out in the universe, it always comes back to you. And it doesn't matter, and it could be how you least expect it, right? So we're in the middle of COVID, right? And at the time, I'm still online and everything, doing stuff online, but um I connected with this guy who was a massage therapist. on link. I connected with him on LinkedIn. Was doing a lot of networking and connecting on LinkedIn. I think more so. And you know what? To be honest with you, I just want to talk to people.
I just say I just want to meet more people.
Yeah, yeah. And initially, I mean, I could say, and I could honestly say I was doing it for isogenics, but honestly, I just wanted to talk to people because,
Yeah, yeah,
you
yeah.
know,
Great.
and I connected with this guy. His name's Bill Throat, I think. But anyway, they call him Wild Bill. And he was not. We were going back and forth. Had a really good chat. I was like, hey, let's pop on a Zoom. And he was in his late 70s, so he was working with USA Track and Field since the late 70s, and he's probably in
Wow.
his mid to late 70s. And he was telling me all these great things. He was showing me like all these pictures of all these old high level track and field athletes that he knew and he was, made camaraderies with. And I was like, oh my God, this guy's amazing, right? And he was telling me all these events I should participate in. The very last thing he said was, I'm going to be on the sports massage team for the Olympic trials for 2021. Now, mind you, the world was still shut down. We wasn't clear if anything was going to happen. And he said, I think we were at the very end of COVID, and this is when everything was opening up. And I said, bruh, how can I get on that team?
Sign me
Right?
up.
Yeah. And he said, I just happen to know the guy who is putting together a team. Uh, send me your resume, and I let him, and we'll get it going. So now we're in 2021. A couple months go by. I get an email saying, hello, this is Don Butzner. I want to welcome you to the team.
What?
Yeah.
Man.
I was in the computer. I was in the computer. I was in a chair. I fell all the way back. I fell all the way back, bro. Fell all the way back. And then I just made so many connections when I went out west. I
Yeah.
connected with so many people. And after that, I got two more invites to go back. I
Wow.
went back for the 2020. I was there for the 2021 Olympic trials. Mind you, I was even hurt. I was injured, but I didn't care.
Uh-uh.
I didn't care. And then I got invited back to two outdoor Nike national championships for USA Track and Field. So two sports that was at 2022, 2023. And then I didn't get it. I didn't get an invite for 2024, but I got asked to be part of the Olympic trials for the 3-on-3 basketball team for 3-on-3 basketball.
Yep.
So, and then I had to put together a team of people for massage, it was a small group, but they paid me so good, Aaron. I was just like, I don't care what we gotta do, man. And that was
I'll figure
local.
it out.
We didn't have to fly, and I didn't have to fly, and all that stuff was volunteer. But you know what? I was putting the reps in, and
Mhm.
then I got out there with other me's. All that networking and connecting and being around people that were elevated and so good at what they did and talent.
Which is huge because you get around other U's, man, it's a mastermind session. You guys are, geeking out doing your stuff. So that's awesome, man. And I can just hear again, and you know what, students, you hear this time and time again, right? Keep going, keep going, keep going. And you see what happens. You start connecting, you start to really find your passion, and great things will happen. Your life is so important. You are purpose. You are on purpose, and it's so important to keep pushing. I mean, shoot, we forgot to mention, man. You stepped on stage and did your first bodybuilding competition, man.
Oh,
Shredded.
listen. Let me tell you. So let me tell y'all something. All right. So the first time I did it was 2013. Um, and I was 38, and I was kind of serious, but I wasn't. And I remember I was all hyped up about it, and all of a sudden, and Aaron didn't hear nothing from me for a while.
But crickets.
It was crickets, and he called me up talking about how's your training going, and I said, "What you talking about? You know what I'm talking about. You supposed to be training." I said, are you for real now? But yeah, you for real. I said, oh man, I guess I gotta really do this. He was like, yeah, you do.
We gotta go. Let's do this.
I know. So that was 2013, and I did decent. You know, I got as lean as I could. 2019, I did a second one. I looked a little bit better, but 20 freaking 23, I did my first men's physique,
Oh
and
yeah.
I freaking crushed it, dude. That
Boom.
dude, my back must have been wider than this screen, dude. Like, listen, I work with his brother Trevor Harrison. He got me right, bro. I was just like, my waist was like this, and I had this like this V shape. I was like, who is that guy? You know?
Wow.
So and then I've competed in powerlifting too. My last meet was May of 2022, and I did what 440 for a deadlift. That was my PR.
My goodness.
Yeah. So I've done four competed in four powerlifting events.
Wow.
And then size is different, right? When you're competing for powerlifting, you're doesn't matter if you got belly or gut. You just eating and training, dude. Like
It's a different lifestyle, but you're
different
going
lifestyle,
around.
you know.
But I love the
So
fact that you did it, and you did all these things. And, for the students that are listening, I think it's so important for them to understand, like, you know, it, tear off the limits, man. Don't have any doubts in your abilities. Just go out there,
keep
crush
moving.
it, and you'll find things. And I think, Ron, you're a testament to that. I think it's so important. Like you just started going and then you just started to just grow and develop and find things along the way. And now, right, you're the massage therapist for the Mohegan Sun
Yep, Connecticut
basketball
Sun.
WNBA team. Tell us a little bit about that. Like, how'd that come about? So now you're on TV, bro. Like, come on, man. Does the list get any better? My goodness.
Yeah, yeah. So it's so interesting because my ears were to the ground. I knew that things were shifting over at the over there at the Connecticut Sun. I kind of was hearing things, whispers, as you would call it. Um, and so I got that. So to back up prior to that, I got hired I also got hired with UConn, which is one of the top Division I colleges in the state of Connecticut as a sports massage therapist. So I'm on that. So I'll do a dual share on that. So just a quick share about that. At home watching TV, mind my business, scrolling through. Again, the universe just talks to you, man. People when you're good to people and people know that you're a good person, you doing things. I think people they just think of you, right? Somebody thought of me, you know, tagged me on Facebook, and then long story short, I got hired for UConn, and I've been with them for 2 years, and I work with various college athletes doing what I do best. Then fast forward to the beginning of this year, um, there was a massage therapist that me and him again connected on LinkedIn. Come to find out, he lives right here in Groton, right? And we met up for lunch a couple of times. We still get up for coffee when we can. We've done massage exchanges, but the Connecticut Sun, he's done some work with the Connecticut Sun, and they knew about him. So when they started changing regimes, they were looking for massage therapists. They reached out to him, and he was like, "I can't do it, but I know this. I know someone that that's good and that can do it." So I get a message on my phone. We're looking for a massage therapist. Are your interests? A gentleman by the name of Ryan Newton. Shout out to Ryan Newton. He's a licensed PT and athletic trainer. And then once I said yes, we said, did we had to do? And then once I started working, they were getting ready to travel. They said, would you be interested in traveling with us? I said yes. So now I do home games. I travel all over the country. I've been to so many states I've never been to, which is insane. Um, I got back from Indianapolis um, on what's today? I got back on Indianapolis on the 28th, and then I'll be leaving
Yesterday.
out. Yeah, yesterday. I have today off, and then I'll be leaving out to Washington, D.C. tomorrow for a game for the 31st.
Wow.
Um,
Ron, it's so amazing, man. And I think it's so important for the students to understand, like, what are some of the biggest obstacles, man, out of all these journeys, right? If you could name, say, the top three things that you've had to overcome, how you did it, and if there's a student in the room watching this video right now that wants to do what you're doing, what would you recommend them to start to focus on?
so I think the first obstacle that anyone has, especially if they're dealing with life, dealing with trouble things, is the first obstacle they have to overcome is, what's going on in their mind. You have to start here first. You have to clean out what's going on here. And I get when you're young and you may have troubles in your family life. You may have troubles going on with you and in school. Whatever you're dealing with, you have to take a step back and say, okay, I have to focus on getting this clear first. So this could be, I don't know, maybe going to counseling. It could be, finding a mentor, and then look at something you want to be great at. Right? Start with that one thing. My one thing as a kid, I ended up being great at was martial arts. I just started with that one thing, you know, and just get good at something. Just get good at one thing and just keep pushing forward with it. And don't let anyone tell you that it's impossible. Right? What's that Les Brown say that the opinions of others, um, you
Doesn't
know,
have to be your reality.
doesn't have to be your reality, right? So the opinions of others doesn't have to be reality. I was told that, I should be, that I was mentally challenged. I was told I was stupid in math by a teacher. I was told that, you know, I, just those things, like you can't, the opinions of others doesn't have to be a reality. You just have to keep moving. You just have to keep moving forward, and the thing you want will happen. It may take a couple of months, couple of years, it may take 10 years, but it will happen for you. You just gotta keep going.
Mm, yeah, I love that. And I think so many of us need to hear that over and over and over. I think no matter how old you get, you need to hear that because we have a dream. We know that we want more out of our life. No matter what is going on, we know deep down inside we want that. And I just want to congratulate you, Ron, for everything that you've done, the things that you're going to do. Your children, obviously looking up to their father, and seeing and being proud of what you've accomplished, man. Your wife, right? And just seeing you grow and really bloom, man. Like just grow in so many ways. And as your friend, I've always admired you, man. And I don't have you're my older brother, right? I mean, that's really how I see it.
And I
And
jumped out of a plane.
you jumped out of a plane, man, something that I don't think I would do. However, you made it look so cool, man. Caleb was like, I want to do that. And for you guys out listening to this, Caleb's my
That's
brother.
funny.
Now he's like, I want to do that, Dad. I'm like, really? He's like, oh yeah, man. I'm like, all right, well.
Well, he
Oh,
can have he can have my gift certificate that they gave me because listen, it was fun. It was better than any roller coaster ride, but I probably won't do it a second time.
you know what? And that's fine. You did it once. You say, yeah, I'm done. I did it and I got it over with. So Ron, thank you again, man. I think there's so much good stuff out of this interview, man. And I really appreciate you sharing your story. Anything you want to share, in closing with this great interview, man?
Yeah, like I said, whatever's going on in your guys' life, whatever is troubling you, don't bottle it in. Find someone to talk to about it. Find something that you can be great at, and whether if it's a sport, whether it's a hobby, or reading, or a skill. Just find something that's going to keep you productive, busy, make you feel good about yourself and increase your knowledge. I'm always reading every day. I'm always finding ways to grow myself. You know, I created, wanted to have my own clothing line for many years, and I did that. Created Be Legendary Athletic Apparel. Um, and again, it was another uh, mountain I had to climb because I had no concept of technology or how to do that. And everything I do, it's all clean, it's all online. But I struggled. I struggled with putting that all together. But you know what? Once it was done, I got it. Because I kept pushing forward. So that'd be my biggest thing. And Aaron, you've been a big inspiration to me. You're my little older brother. I think we feed off each other. As you would say, iron sharp as iron.
Right.
And I appreciate and love you so much, man. And I'm so glad that you were a part of my life, man.
Amen, brother. Likewise. And for all the students watching this, we love you. Wayne Winsley, your biggest mentor, your biggest fan, he really cares a lot about you. And when him and I talked about doing these videos, I knew that there was something special going to come out of them and the people that we would put in front of you. And so watch this video over and over and over again. Really understand some of the challenges that Ron went through and find where it relates to you. I think that's the biggest thing. Find in his story where it sounds like you, where it sounds like you could, use the tools, because that's the point of this. And, for all those who are encouraging you, listen to them. Like I tell my oldest son, I say, I'm your father. I'm not here to be right or wrong. I'm not here to tell you what to do. I'm here to make suggestions. And ultimately, my goal for you, just like these videos and Wayne and the whole crew over at, Brave Enough to Fail and the Boss Academy, they're here to give you suggestions, make recommendations, but ultimately they want you to make the decision based on good information, things that are right for you, so that you can have that advantage. And that's the whole point. So go through life, understanding, picking up breadcrumbs, and stay legendary, be legendary, like my man Ron Hilton here. Keep it rocking and rolling. And we just want to thank you again, Ron, for giving us your time tonight, man. I know you're a
Yeah, I
busy guy.
appreciate it, man. And listen, I'll be more than happy to come on. If you need somebody to come show up in person to do this, I'll do that too.
Awesome.
I don't mind answering questions in person and things I've been through in my life, and I love giving back, giving value. So however I can help.
We can do that. Let's make that happen. All right, Ron. Hey, man, get some rest. And thanks again. And be legendary, guys. Brave enough to
Yeah,
fail.
yeah, awesome.
Hey, series in live, guys. We love you guys. Have a good one. Take care.